All right, here he is. The Diamond Select Predator PVC Diorama statue. I'm going to put a link somewhere up in the corner here and in the video description. The video I posted before this is going to be the review for how this piece came to me from Diamond Select. And this one's going to follow it with the aftermath, the repaint. Total 100% repaint, because I just felt the paint on that Diamond Select was terrible. I mean, the base itself was almost all one color. The rocks were a brown instead of the gray they were shown to be in the prototype. And you could barely tell the vines. It looks like someone just took a brush and went like this real quick, and it didn't matter if it was on the vines, off the vines, on the rock. It was just awful. And the Predator netting too was just off. It was crooked. Anyhow, long story short, I love this pose and the look of the statue and the sculpt so much that I just wanted to repaint it. And repainting is something that I am interested in, because I have my own comic called Doomsday Kingdom, and I would like to create maybe some custom statues and figures and stuff down the line. So if I'm creating that for our merch store, I should know how to paint stuff. Anyhow, I am thrilled with how this came out. I messed up on the gloss. I was supposed to have a gloss and a matte finish. I totally screwed up with my shopping cart on Amazon, and I threw 2 gloss there. It's a really easy, stupid mistake, because my second gloss bottle didn't say gloss on it, and I just mixed it up with a matte one. I am ordering a matte one because I had so much fun with this project. I am interested in getting more Diamond Select statues, because I noticed the paint jobs are pretty basic for most of them. But I do want to get, but they do look sculpt-wise, and you know how they stand. They do look cool. So I don't know if I'm doing one more, 10 more, 20 more of this Predator plus other characters like the Joker. But I am interested because the materials, first off, it's affordable. Second off, the material was easy to strip, because you just soak it in warm, soapy water, dish soap water, and you just have patience, and then you peel off some of this once the soap wears down on the glue in there. So you take that off. I mean, the whole arm, the whole clip, it was just like it was when it was put together in the factory. I was able to wiggle this arm out. Before I soaked it, the fists, I chopped them all to hell, the peg on the inside, because I didn't think about soaking it until later. But once I soaked it, oh my God, I just stripped the thing apart. And even if you bend some of the pegs and you really twist them up, it doesn't even matter, because once you warm them up with a blow dryer or more warm water, they'll reform to their original shape anyway. Even if you got to reform them and then squeeze them back in the hole and then reshape them and pull them out and cool them off, they'll stay that shape, and you'll be able to plug them in and out. As a matter of fact, when I glued this guy together, I don't even think I glued this arm. I just kind of placed his whole arm in there. And it's a nice tight fit, so I'll glue it one day. But anyhow, excuse me, behind this video, see, before this video, I reviewed this statue, how it came. Now I'm going to throw this video up on the channel and show you the aftermath of how it's painted. And if I get time, or when I get time, maybe tomorrow or in a few days, I'm going to edit together a small video showing you some of the behind the scenes of me stripping it and then painting it and stuff like that. And I'll kind of compare it in that edited video from before and after. But I am through the roof, even though the gloss finish was a fail at the end, because I didn't want his armor glossy. I didn't want his leather glossy, because when it hits the light, it takes away from it. It aids in how the skin looks, but it takes away from the armor and certain aspects of the tree, like where the sun would dry the tree out. I wanted that matte finish. At the top of the rocks, I wanted it to be, you know, glossy and wet looking in the creases there. But anyway, starting with the bottom, The idea here was to add multiple colors, but I wanted a blue tint. For me, that was important because it looked really cool. So that's what I did with the rocks. It was a base dark brown, and that is good because then you leave some of these sections here for dark brown mud. At the very end, I went over with a lighter brown to add some fresher mud. So it is a combination of that dark, you can still see some up on the rocks, the dark brown and that lighter brown. And I feel like it came out a lot better using multiple different colors. So I had a gray, there was a white, there was a blue, some of it I mixed, and then I would just go over it when I'm done with a wash. And it blends all those colors together. And I like how that came out. Down here I did these dirtier, and even around the back, some of the tree areas I did a lot dirtier, like right here, coming out here, just because I like how that looked. And then up here more was cleaner, and I did a less wash. So you get these multiple different browns within the tree. I loved how that came out. The tree I coated with dark brown to start, and then I went around, I'm sorry, this color light brown. The mud came up to halfway on the tree. I might have done the whole tree. But afterwards, I went all around getting areas like this with that light brown. So that way it'll see through it in certain aspects. And then I did 3 different type of browns. I did like a dark brown, and then I went randomly with a lighter brown, and then a medium type of brown. And then afterwards, I did a dry brush of this really light brown that you see here. It's something different. I forget what it was called, but it's like sunset brown or something. And that's how I got multiple colors. And at the very end, I dry washed it. I gave it a dirt wash to blend all the colors together. And I'm really happy about how that came out. Same thing with the vines. I gave it a base green, and then I went over it with a bright green. If you ever look at a vine or a tree or greenery, you ever look at it and it has strands of different colors in it. Some of it's not always just solid green. You'll see strands of yellows and whites and stuff like that. That's what I was trying to go for. If you look really close, I went over it with like a bright green and with some yellows. And then I did a wash over it to kind of blend it all together. Here I did a little less of it though. I just went with the flat green, and then I did a touch of lighter green, and then I did a wash. I wanted it to stand out from the vines differently. And the tree was the same thing, but I did the steps a little bit different with less of the dry brush, so that way it didn't look completely identical. It has some of the similar bark look, but I didn't do it identical to this standing tree. Some of it here you can see where some of the similar browns are, but it's missing like 2 of those brown tones that one had. I probably should have used a little more of a rotted, broken brown color, but I didn't even think of it until now. I added some copper. It's called New Penny on his leather sandal, and I did that for his metal equipment as well. Here's his shin pad that came out really well, weathered really well. This is his other one. If I can get it to focus. I like how this one came out dirty. This is the one that was on top of the tree here, so I wanted to highlight how it's really dirty. The idea was supposed to be he was traipsing through swamp, so he's kind of darker and dirtier here, and then a little cleaner up top. But this was a lot of fun doing the metal. I did a gray, and then I did a light silver metallic paint over top, and then a darker metallic paint on the sides and where the lines were, so where each different piece of metal was. And then I did a final wash over top all of that, and it blended it together fantastic. I practiced with just the gray at first, And gray with a wash, and it just didn't hold enough metal look to it. And then I remembered I have that metallic acrylic paint. Same thing with his nut cup, his shin guards, knee pads, nut cup, belt buckle there. They all have that same color. I just did each one subtly different with the amounts of the dark metallic. I got a bit of different color going on in his. When it came to the browns, I didn't want it all exactly the same, so it's hard to tell now that it's all done, but there's actually this burnt, I think it's a burnt umber brown. It's kind of like a reddish brown. Well, in the creases, I did a little paint job of that, and it looked off not off, but it stood out a lot when I first did it. And I was real nervous it wouldn't come out well. But after the fact, I love how it came out. You can see it a little bit here. Before you do the dry brushing and all that, it's like a flat, boring brown, and then it has these streaks of red. I did it where all the creases are. And then there was a very light dry brushing on certain areas that would maybe rub against rock or concrete. So it's got different browns. I hate that it's so glossy, because this was supposed to be that matte gloss. Anyhow, so I like how that came out. So much better than before. It was just too flat of a color. Oh, and I switched his trophies. This was important for me because the Predator always crisscrosses his trophies, and Diamond Select put them all on one side, and I don't know why. It looks terrible. Here's his elbow leather strap. I don't know, but got a nice color going on there. I added some new penny paint to his arm gauntlets with some red, and I love how that makes the gauntlets pop. Oh, and his blades too were dirty for some reason, so I stripped them and repainted them, made them look like actual silver blades. I'm really happy with how the gloves came out. That's why I wish it would have stayed like a matte paint, or I wish I would have bought the right paint, because his gloves came out fantastic. I like the way they look. They have this true leather look to it with the... I'm trying to get it to focus right. I don't know what is going on. I never have problems with the focus on this camera, and then today it's like, nah, bro, you're not going to focus on shit. I mean, it might be the gloss, but I added a dark brown with a lot of light brown highlights. Is it really not going to focus? Brother. It's focusing on the knee. Like, what are you doing, phone? Yeah, there we go. I don't know why that was so important, but I wanted to get a good shot of his arm gauntlet, that leather, his blades. Same thing for this wrist. I added some silver metallic for his knuckles, the new penny for those. I think they're supposed to be just a flat silver, and then the leather look to the gloves there. I like how that came out. I like the dots too. And then his wrist gauntlet has a lot of red in it. From a distance, I like how that looks, because at a distance it gives it a little more flair to it. Same thing for the metal on his back. Same process with the flat gray and his mask. Flat gray, and I didn't use any dark metallic on the mask. It was just simply the flat gray with the light color metallic to give it that metal look. I like how that came out too. Yeah, man. I dig the shit out of this. Could I have improved a lot? Yeah, there's a lot to improve. This is the first major thing I've ever done. I mean, I've done small stuff ever since I've decided I want to take a little side hobby, painting statues. I'm not going to be doing canvas paintings, I don't think. but doing shit like this was so much fun. It was so weird and relaxing too, because stripping it took a long time. It took hours to strip the paint off this, because you got to do it properly. And it just was fun, man. It was a whole lot of fun. Here's his, you can't see it, but I added copper. And yeah, looking at how that leather comes out, I like how that leather came out compared to before. His netting was a bitch, and I was worried it was going to be terrible. But it came out nice, especially compared to how it was before. I mean, his netting came out really nice. Before, it was all crooked. And there's some areas where you can see, like maybe down there, I had a little mess up. You can see that clearly. But at a distance, at least it's all lined up where it's supposed to be. Before, it was off, so you'd have like white lines where the sculpt is, and then next to it would be black lines where the netting was painted on, and it was just off. So I think that's pretty much it. The gun, I showed that. I did a nice dirt wash inside there, because it has that in a movie. It has that burnt look to it. So I made sure to do that. You can't see it because it's just dark as hell inside there. And his hair has a dry brush of metallic. I think that just blends nicely with the metal around his head here. And then the glossy black in the eyes, which I did kind of mess up a little bit. I mean, they're all blacked in there, but I messed up with a second coat. It's not as even. The paint was a little too thick. I believe that was also the problem. So, and that's something I got to learn to do. My washes, I know I got to get better at that, because I'm still off about washes. I don't know what I'm doing. And then, or I don't know exactly how diluted to make them. And then when it comes to the paint, doing it in layers and thinning it out. But I did learn a lot. I looked up some techniques, and I'm friggin' thrilled how this guy came out. Do I want an original Predator? I was thinking, yeah, I kind of do. When I go back and rewatch my video of how the Predator showed up, though, I don't think I want one that's painted bad. So I'm getting a Predator statue probably at the end of this year or next year, and it's going to be my Grail OG Predator. So I don't think I need a smaller one that's the exact Predator color, because this was supposed to be what we were getting. It looks fine here. Necklaces are all to one side, but it looks fine here. I mean, the paint on the base is a little off because it's one or two different colors. You know, one base color and then dry brushed, and a couple green here and there. But when it shows up, it's not like that. So we kind of got a before and after. There's the before, and that's a nice paint job, though, you know. And then there's the sick, glossy bastard after. All right, just wanted to show this off. Bye.